Have you ever had someone lie about you or spread false rumors in an attempt to harm your reputation? Maybe you own a business and they did it toward your company. How did it make you feel? Not that good. You're probably up at night thinking about it, like what's going on here? But then what if you found out that the person who started this rumor lied? It wasn't true what they said. What would you do? Why I'm bringing this up is because someone, a competitor specifically, made a claim against my company, IBC Global, that we provided a huge disservice to one of our clients that is just a horrible situation. And they also stated that they could prove it. And they posted some of their proof on social media. Now, I looked into it, and it turned out that it was either just an outright lie by them, or they made a mistake. But they're blasting it publicly right now. So what I'm going to do in this video is talk about what happened, and then I'll also talk about how we found out that it was not true. So what they claimed, this competitor, is that they have proof that an IBC Global client has a MEC because we did the client a massive disservice and we don't know what we're doing. So I'm going to show you the proof. First, I'll show you their claim, and then also the proof that they posted stating that we did this to a client. And if you don't know what a MEC is, it's a taxable event with a whole life insurance policy. And why that is a big problem is because people who work with us that get whole life insurance typically get it for the cash value. And a big reason why is because if you follow IRS rules, you can access that cash value tax-free. And a MEC just ruins it all, and you can't fix it after a certain period of time, 30 days specifically, passes. So what the competitor claimed here publicly, not just to us, but they did this publicly, was that an IBC Global client has a policy that has become a MEC. Now, I hear this kind of stuff all the time from competitors, and I usually just ignore it because it's never true. But there's a few reasons why this one got my attention. First, it came from a competitor who is bigger than us, especially on social media. When you look at their following compared to ours, they're bigger than we are. Second, my team didn't like it. I didn't like it either, because I'll say this, I don't really like talking about myself. We take a lot of pride in what we do, particularly with educating our clients and our customer service. And the claim that was made would imply that we don't provide education and that our customer service stinks. So it goes against something that we work extremely hard in. And I'm like, okay, that's not right. And then third, they stated that one of our clients have a MEC policy. Preventing MECs has always been a top priority of mine and our company for all of our clients. Our client relations department sees every time a MEC occurs. Our head of client relations, Natasha, who has been with me for more than 5 years and is always on the ball, reviews each MEC case personally. And I also see when each MEC case happens. And we reverse it every single time. We're always working with the company and the client with MEC cases, and they're easy to reverse as long as you catch it early. I'll show you our process in this video. But that's another reason why it got my attention. But nonetheless, the competitor claimed that they have an IBC Global client, meaning someone that got a policy from my company that has a MEC policy, and that they could prove it. Okay, so the first thing that was brought to my attention was a video, and I'm going to just play a clip of that video.
I do not give to what IBC Global and they're feeding out there, because we literally have a major catastrophe with one of their clients right now because they did a massive disservice because they don't know what the hell they're doing. But like, we got a little bit of an issue with a MEC that is unfixable, and that is where they got this client into trouble. I think it was just a little bit of just not knowing what they were doing, a little bit of who knows how they did what they did to this client, but it's a really bad scenario.
Okay, so there it is. He is claiming that they have a client of IBC Global's that has a policy that is a MEC and it is unfixable. He also stated that we don't know what we are doing, among other things. So firstly, we had that video, but there's no real proof in that it was actually our client. But then they put some of their alleged proof in writing. Let's take a look here. So this is a post. There's a couple posts here that were made on a Facebook group with more than 5,000 people. So first, we've got a post by the same individual that we just saw in that video, stating that he has a guardian policy, specifically a 1090, that was done by IBC, referring to my company, IBC Global, that is indeed a MEC. Down here, the illustration and proof that it is a MEC. He's claiming they have that. And then I just want you to know that it does happen and we will prove it to you. Okay, so let's see, let's continue on. The next post is from one of his associates or someone who works with him at the company. And they posted a lot here. I'm just going to hit on some of the main points. So here's the situation with this client. The original illustration shows it not being a MEC. The client was paying $12K per year. They also started with a lump sum PUA of $50,000, and the policy premium is actually more of an 80-20. From the snapshot below, it was not a MEC. Now, here he mentions also the client thought they were getting a 90-10 from Global, yet that is not what they got. Okay, what that means, now this is just me speculating here, is we market 1090 policies frequently. The reason why is because that is as low as we can push the base premium in many cases with the major mutual companies. Base premium dollars do not build cash value, especially upfront for individuals who get whole life insurance. So we're reducing the item in the policy that doesn't give you cash value and trying to maximize the cash value. The premium piece also generates the commission for the agent. So he's stating that this client wanted a 1090, but they got a 2080, which means I would have doubled my commission. Some bait and switch tactics there, perhaps. He didn't say bait and switch, though. That's just how I'm reading into this. But nonetheless, let's continue on. In light yellow, here's an important data point. The policy has been in force for 2 years and 8 months. This post was made in June of 2025, which means the policy start date would be October of 2022. Keep that in mind. Let's continue on. In the red box, we just have information from him claiming that this client did not receive any education from the client or is very limited, which it is important to educate clients. And then underneath the red box, so this client sent me over the in-force illustration, which showed it was now a MEC. Oh, also, the client has no idea what a MEC was. Awesome job, previous agent. Again, he's referring to IBC Global here, as he mentioned Global earlier in this same post. Where are we right now with this? Still trying to get answers and figure out how this became a MEC. The client stated multiple times that they funded the policy as directed by the previous agent. Then down here, I'm doing the best to help this client out. They are very upset. Sucks, yet it's not the first time I've dealt with a similar situation. Okay, so you've got an upset client, you've got someone trying to help them with it. So he's trying to help the client, but he's claiming that we did this to the client. Okay, let's look at the screenshots that he provided. First, we've got post 2A, which is a screenshot from the original illustration. And here, it is just confirming that the policy as designed will not become a MEC. Post 2B is a breakdown of this illustration, specifically where the numbers are going or where our money is going. So if we look at this, first, we've got the base face amount. That's what this $113,000 is. Remember that, base face amount. Below that, you've got what is called the target additional benefit of $1 million in change. That's your term insurance rider that is attached to a policy to prevent a MEC from occurring. Then you've got the product, whole life 95. And then over here, you have the base premium on this policy, $2,683.18. And then down below, you've got a scheduled PUA rider. What scheduled means is that the client is paying at the same time that they're paying the base premium. They're billed for both of them, which if you add those two together, would be $12,000 per year, which what a lot of clients do in situations like this is they pay $1,000 per month. And then we also see an unscheduled PUA payment of $50,000, which means they added an extra $50K to this policy in the first year. They likely added a lump sum right out of the gates. So if you add those figures up, their total first year deposit is $62,000 even. Okay. Now, what I'll say about this is the original concept illustration. If I ran this illustration, me, Steve Parisi, under IBC Global, and provided it to another agent, that agent could then go to a client and sell that policy. They might even hand them the same illustration that I ran for them. So you could see my name on that original illustration. That does not mean that I'm the client's agent, because when the formal policy is issued, the agent's name, whoever sold that policy, will be on the formal contract and the formal illustration within the formal contract, and it will also be in the insurance company's database. So I do want to mention that point, as that is a common mistake that happens in the industry when people make assumptions. Okay, down here, in-force illustration. This is an important piece of data. So what we see here is first the policy class, preferred NT. That tells us it's a preferred health rating. Down here, we see the base face amount of $113,000, the target additional benefit of $1 million and change. Okay, perfect. These figures match the above that we saw in the original illustration. That's good. We also see the plan name, a whole life 95 product, and then we can also see that this policy is indeed a modified endowment contract. So the claim here is that this policy was written by us and we did this to a client. Okay, so I'm going to show you exactly how we found out that that was not the case. But what I want to start with is just from looking at that illustration, I could tell that wasn't our client, because we don't set policies up how that policy is shown. Like, it's very rare that we'll do that for someone. Also, the in-force illustration, not the original concept illustration, but the in-force illustration would also have the agent's name on the first page. So if Steve Parisi or IBC Global is the agent on record, they could have shown that. Because for all of our clients, we run the in-force illustrations. Now, if they got this directly from Guardian, the insurance company, Guardian would have notified the agent, which in this case, according to their claim, would have been us, that the client is requesting an in-force illustration. We get nothing like that. And then we also would have seen that it is a MEC policy. But that wasn't shown anywhere. They did show, however, that the policy was started 2 years and 8 months ago, which again gives it a policy date of October 2022. That's a very important piece of information. So the steps we took to identify if this is indeed an IBC Global are as follows. We started with the data. So the product was a whole life 95. The base premium was $26.83 and change. The base face amount was $113,000, and the health rating was preferred non-tobacco. That is all extremely valuable information. If they didn't post the in-force illustration, I would not have been able to figure any of this out. So step one, what I did is I reran the exact same L95 product. I ran it for both a male and female of different ages to figure out the age for this client when they started this policy. And we discovered that it was a 47-year-old female. Want to see what I did? Whole life 95 product, 2021 series. This policy was started in 2022. So the 2021 series would have been the product that would have been used. Female, 47, health rating, preferred non-tobacco. Let's start with just the base face amount of $113,000. Calculate. Look at that. Female, age 47, preferred non-tobacco. Death benefit, $113,000. That's your base face amount. Product, whole life 95. Base premium, 2683.18 to the penny. It's exact. Okay. If we go back to their screenshot, let's complete everything here. They also had a target additional benefit, which is your term rider, of $1,007,790. So what you can do here is add the two together. That gives you the total death benefit. That right there is really what gave it away, where I looked at that and like, we don't set policies up with oddball death benefits like that. Not with Guardian. It's very, very rare. But let's do it that way. Use the same PUA rider, total premium, punch in $12K per year, which would be $1,000 per month. We could add the lump sum, doesn't matter here. I'm going to show you everything. Death benefit, 113. I should say the base face amount, death benefit. Target additional benefit. Product, base premium, scheduled PUA rider. Add the two together, you get $12,000 per year or $1,000 per month. Now, where this agent came up with that oddball death benefit, they did a good job here actually, is they solved for the minimum amount of life insurance to get a $62,000 MEC limit, meaning the client can pay a maximum of $62,000 per year into this policy without triggering a MEC. So they paid $12K plus that $50,000 lump sum, which gives you a total of $62,000. But in terms of steps, step one was rerunning the illustration that we did here to determine the age of this client along with the health rating. We also have the policy date of October 2022. So we've got all the information we need now in order to look into our database. So step two, what I did is reviewed IBC Global's database for all Guardian policies for the following characteristics. 47-year-old female, the base premium of $26.83, none on record. How about a 47-year-old female with a base face amount of $113,000, none on record. Any IBC Global client with a base premium of $2,600 and change, none on record. Any IBC Global client with a base face amount of $113,000, none on record. So how I did that is because my team is fantastic and we track everything. So if you like systems, this is Monday.com. This is one of the systems that we use. And I will give credit to my sister here, Dara, sister-in-law, who is second in command here at the company, also known as our director of operations, who has everything so organized here. Policies that were started by year 2016 through 2025. I searched every year, just in case the individual who posted 2 years and 8 months ago, which would give me October of 2022, just in case he made a mistake, I searched every year. But what I'm going to do here is narrow our search to 2022 because that's the policy date. So the first thing we did is searched it by policy date. If you've got all of your data uploaded into Monday, it is so easy to find everything. So there's more than what you see here, but we see policies started in October of 2022. Do you see any base premiums of $2,683? No, but guess what you can do on Monday? Search it by base premium. That's what we did next. So by base premium, do you see any base premiums of $26.83? No. There's one October 10th of 2022, but it's $2,600 even. Anything, $26.44, that's June. $27.22, that's a little bit higher. That's in October, but it's a mass neutral product. So in our database, we found nothing with those characteristics. So that was step 2. Step 3, we did the same thing, but in Guardian's database. First, 47-year-old female with base premium of $2,600 and change. Then that same 47-year-old female with a base face amount of $113,000. And then all of our clients I searched. So the thing is, Guardian, if you're going to make a claim against anyone and you're going to involve Guardian as the insurance company, you got to be on top of it. Guardian, in my opinion, leads the industry in technology. And when it comes to tracking every detail of every single one of their policies, their data is the best. They have everything so organized. So it did make it fairly easy for us to sort through everything on our end and also on Guardian's end. So I downloaded this from Guardian, which is our client list for both IBC Global and any clients under my personal name. And here's what we're going to do. Base face amount. Let's go down until we get to $113,000 and change. Got all sensitive info blanked out here. Come on. There we go. $113,000. I said $113,000 and change. It's $113,000 even is the base face amount. Do we see anything here? Here's 112 and change, 112,929, 113,032. No $113,000 even base face amount figure. Even if we look at the figures close, the base premiums, there's no 2683. If we sort the base premiums, we could do that actually. Why don't we do that? This way you can see if we have any base premiums of exactly 2683. Here we go. Nothing. So in our database and in Guardian's database, nothing. That was step 3. Step 4, we reviewed all of our company's records for all past MEC policies. So I'll show you how we did this, and I'll also share a little bit of IBC Global's process, specifically on how we protect clients from running into a MEC situation. So firstly, anytime a MEC occurs, we're notified the next business day. And here are the steps we take. Firstly, we document the date that that MEC occurred. Next, we document the reason the MEC occurred. Next, we document when the MEC has been reversed or resolved, because you typically have 30 days to reverse a MEC policy, and then you're back to exactly where you would have been as if you never MEC'd. It's a non-issue, no problem whatsoever. What we also look at is if it was an insurance company error, I should say. If the insurance company made an error, we reach out to them to correct it, and no action is needed by the client. I'll also say if it's an insurance company error, you've got more than 30 days to reverse it. It could be 2 years later because it wasn't the client's fault. It was just a systems error by the insurance company. That's happened, and we've been able to correct it with no problem whatsoever. Now, if it was a client mistake, such as adding too much money to their PUA rider, or if they went onto their online portal and accidentally removed the term rider or something like that, that could trigger a MEC. However, very easy to reverse. We've had clients do this. It's happened more than 200 times over the years because we track all of this, and we reverse it so easily. What we always do is reach out to the client immediately, and here's all we need from them. An email stating that it was an accident, then we forward that email to Guardian, and the MEC's reversed. We've never had one slip through the cracks. I can say that very proudly. Here's how we track everything. So we've got pages of this, but under item, we have the client's name, date triggered, date started. Started means when we started our follow-up process. So these shouldn't be blanked out here, but that's okay. Let's look down here. So here's a case. We were notified April 17th, and we followed up on this April 17th. The reason for this was a client error. It was resolved. It's always the case. You will see sometimes it's the insurance company's fault where they do make errors, but again, it's very easy to fix. And also, this is just with Guardian. We've had MEC issues with other life insurance companies too, And it's a similar process where we are notified and then we fix the mistake. It's quite simple. The point is, we can see all of the history of every MEC policy that we've ever had in our database. And what I didn't show you there was Guardian's database. The first thing I did when I saw that video posted is I went into Guardian's database and searched for all MEC policies that we've ever had and any that were on our books. Couldn't find anything. I'm like, what's going on here? What is this guy talking about? That was my initial thought, but then we looked into it further. So in all databases, nothing. Step 5, this was the final step I took. We reached out to Guardian and asked if there was a policy with a base premium of $26.83 or a base face amount of $113,000 that was ever an IBC Global client, in case it was a situation where we wrote the policy and then the person changed agents to someone else through a servicing agent change letter. Nothing, because Guardian can see the history of that. They said, no, there's no record whatsoever of a policy with those details on your books. Okay. So those are the steps we took to solidify that a policy was indeed not a MEC that we were responsible for. We found out some additional information, though, just in our digging. So I think I know the agent who sold this policy. However, the agent, if this agent indeed sold this policy, he probably used an illustration that we gave him. And how that works, by the way, is we don't meet with agents' clients. If an agent is working with us, they say, hey, here's what my client wants to do. Here's the specs for the policy design. Can you provide it? My personal rule has always been, I'm not going to tell someone how to run their practice or how they should design policies for their clients. They ask me, I'll share my opinion and what I think is best, but I don't do it that way because I'm not going to tell you how you should run your business. So what probably happened here is we sent him an illustration, would have been well before October 2022, but then he may have used that illustration with this client. And then here's what happened. I know that this agent later partnered with this same competitor who made the claim about IBC Global. That is probably, in my opinion, how the competitor obtained the original illustration, saw our name on it, and then mistakenly assumed that we were the ones who wrote the policy. That, or that agent's staff said, hey, IBC Global services our policies, and a mistake was made that way. Maybe that agent staff told this client that, and then the client told the competitor. However it happened, it didn't really matter. But just in digging and seeing the policy details, I'm like, yeah, I'm quite certain it's related to that agent. And now that he has a relationship with this competitor. The lesson here, do research before making a claim. That's the important piece. Do research before making a claim. Okay, so all of that validates that this was a false claim. It was either a mistake or a lie by this competitor, because there is zero evidence that shows IBC Global has any client with the details that were provided by this competitor in that illustration. Our internal systems don't show a MEC. Guardian systems don't show a MEC. I even called my Guardian contact and asked if we have a MEC policy with the details from that in-force illustration, asked for all MEC policies that have happened in the past or resolved everything. I wanted to see everything so nothing slipped through the cracks. But he's like, no, there's nothing here. You didn't sell a policy, and there's no record that you ever sold or helped service a policy with those details. Must have been someone else. All right. So what we've got is just a claim by a competitor that we, IBC Global, does not know what it's doing. Okay. So it's false. I feel a lot better about that after going through all of the details. Now, with all of that said, what I do want to say is the competitor who made that post in the Facebook group, it does look like he's trying to fix this for the client. Like he is being sincere here, trying to get information. here are the steps I would take. Here's how you can resolve the situation for your client or for the person that you're working with. So step one, what I would do is from Guardian, I would download the transaction history for this specific policy. The policy number is going to be on the in-force illustration. The transaction history is going to give you everything, all past premium payments, PUA payments, loan payments. You'll have all of the information. The transaction history is also going to give you this term, various changes. This is going to let you know if the client did anything by accident, such as removing the term rider through her online portal, by adding too much money to their PUA rider, anything that would have triggered a MEC. So look for that term when you scan through the transaction history. They're typically pretty lengthy, especially if you've got a client who's adding a lot of PUAs or borrowing and repaying frequently. So step one, transaction history. Step two, I would download the policy status report. That is specifically what it is called from Guardian. You can get this from Guardian's Client Manager portal. Now, the status report is going to give you the annual MEC limit, cumulative MEC space, cost basis, which represents the total payments the client has made, and also the MEC status of the policy, along with the base premium, base face amount, and you'll also be able to see agents who were associated with this policy at all points in time. So that status report will also be helpful. The third step that I would take, download all policy documents. And I would do this from the beginning of the policy. This way you can just get a clear picture. Now, when you're downloading those documents, if you find that there's a lot of documents, what you can do here is check off the box, just MEC notifications. Because again, Guardian is fantastic with their systems and tracking everything. Anytime a MEC occurs, a notification is sent along with a document that the agent gets. The date will also be included on this document. Now, what also happens here is a MEC notification and document would have been mailed to the client. This happens every single time anything happens with the policy. If you make a PUA payment, if you change your payment frequency, if you remove the term rider, if a MEC occurs, Guardian is sometimes overmuch with providing this information, but they definitely would have let the client know, and the date would be there as well. With that said, in my opinion, the agent should still be the one who is working to reverse this and on top of everything, not saying, hey, well, the client was notified too. Yeah, that's kind of a last resort because this stuff is complex, but the client would have been notified. But this will give you all of the documentation really just to see, was the agent notified? Was the client notified? And what was the date? And Guardian will provide this information. Now, if you can't get any of that information or if it's a struggle, what I would do is reach out to the Guardian agency through which this policy was sold. If you can't find the agency, you'll see it on the online portal for the client's policy. So I'd ask them to send you a screenshot, or I would hop on a web meeting with them so you could see everything. And that will allow you to see exactly which Guardian agency holds this policy, because they're going to be the ones who have access to this information. So that agency will release this information to the servicing agent. And if you're not currently the servicing agent, ask the agency how you can become the servicing agent. It's quite simple. You just need a letter that says, I want to be the servicing agent, or I want you to be my servicing agent, and the client signs it. It can be literally a Word doc that has 1 or 2 sentences. Very, very simple. But that'll give you all of the information you need to see if this policy is indeed a MEC, and you can also see the agent on the policy to see who triggered that MEC. All right, so I'm going to conclude. First, I just want to mention something here as far as how to find the right agent to work with, because there is always noise. We always hear scare tactics like this, people saying this company's no good because they let MECs happen or whatever. It's like, ignore the noise, follow the money. Look at what banks do, corporations, and wealthy families. They use typically the major mutual insurance companies, the 4 major mutuals, Mass Mutual, Guardian, New York Life, and Northwestern Mutual. with competent agents and agencies that are going to look into this, which anyone can. It's very rare that a mech occurs. Maybe the agent was sick or something like that when this occurred. But I would follow the money whenever looking at a whole life insurance policy. Take time to understand how everything works. Remember that it's your money. We don't want to make too quick of a decision and then have buyer's remorse later. Focus on your numbers. Always follow the numbers. Typically, we hear that one thing is good or bad, but the numbers are the truth. Ask for references, and I also would not rush your decision. So to wrap this up, a competitor made a false claim about IBC Global, and they made this claim publicly, exaggerating that we provided a massive disservice to one of our clients, and it is just a catastrophe and unfixable. Also in their posts, they implied that we do not educate our clients and provide poor service, and that this client is in a bad spot because of us. They can't provide any proof though, because it wasn't us. We can provide proof, however, that it was not our client. So what's the lesson here? The first is the golden rule that I try to live by in every area of my life. Treat others how you want to be treated. Like if you find out that your competitor makes a mistake, you don't go and blast that in social media. Like, especially you don't mention their name. That's just my opinion. There's a reason we haven't mentioned the competitor's name throughout this entire video, and I don't like doing that stuff. Even though some disagree with me personally, I don't like that kind of stuff because it's not how I would want to be treated. So treat others how you would want to be treated. Be honest. Here's a big one. Keep good records. If it wasn't for my team, like I'll give a shout out to Dara here, who just keeps everything super organized. And also Natasha, who is on top of all mech policies at our company. Like they've got all of that buttoned up. Even if I wasn't here, they would be able to figure this out and prove that that was not us on their own. So if you've got good records and someone makes a claim against you in an attempt to harm your reputation, you can refute it. Like that's how we were able to find everything out so quickly because of our internal records. And they also made the claim against Guardian, who keeps everything extremely organized. And it's very, very easy to find out information about your clients and all the specific details like the base face amount and such. Don't talk negatively about others. This one's big. Like this is in line with the first thing too. Treat others how you want to be treated. If you talk negatively about someone, it's very rare that it's going to benefit you, in my opinion. Usually, what I see happens when someone speaks negatively about someone else. The person who made that negative claim towards someone else, they end up getting the bad reputation. You got to be careful with this kind of stuff. And then lastly, this is business advice. Focus on your clients, not your competition. Follow Jeff Bezos' advice. Have a an obsessive, compulsive focus on the customer instead of the competition. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way through and see you on the next one. Thanks again.